Alhamdulillah. This program, inshallah, this brief talk that I want to have with you, I will try to explain some things to you about the month of Ramadan and the month that's coming. I know you've heard countless lectures about the welcoming of Ramadan before, and I'm sure you're going to hear many things that you've heard before, but I also think, inshallah, maybe you might hear some things that you haven't heard before. But I don't want to make this into the form of a lecture, but rather much more of a conversation so that you can take some of these things back with you. The more I make you repeat things, the more you tend to remember, okay? So we're going to start with something that's kind of unexpected. We're going to start with Ibrahim alayhi salam. And today I'm going to try to show you how Ibrahim alayhi salam has a lot to do with Ramadan. A lot of people don't realize that. Ibrahim alayhi salam has two children that we're going to focus on. One of the children is Ismail and the other is, any guess? Ishaq. Ismail and Ishaq. Okay, now we're going to first work on Ishaq alayhi salam, who's also a prophet. By the way, Ismail is a prophet and Ishaq is a prophet. So we're focusing on Ishaq alayhi salam, who also has a child, and that child's name is Yaqub. So the grandfather is who? Ibrahim alayhi salam, then the son, Ishaq, and the grandson, Yaqub. And Yaqub has an uncle. Oh, good. Ismail, very good. Paying attention. Where did that come from? Yes, Ismail uncle. Okay, very good. Now, Yaqub alayhi salam has a nickname. Yaqub has a nickname. His nickname is Israel. Okay, so we're going to start over again. The grandfather is who? Ibrahim. The son, Ishaq. The grandson, Yaqub, whose other name is Israel. Israel has 12 children. Those are called the 12 sons of Israel. Okay, Israel has how many kids? 12. And each of those kids have big families. So each family becomes a tribe. So they're called the 12 tribes of Israel. Yes? That's how it's all connected. You got it? Who was on the other side? Ismail. Who has a child? We don't know. Who then has a child? We don't know. Who then has a child? Who knows? And lots of generations go by, there are no prophets. Nothing's going on this side. There's a lot going on the other side. What's going on the other side? Help me out again. We start with Ibrahim, then we go to Ishaq, then we go to Yaqub, then we go to the children of Yaqub, or the children of Israel. One of them is Yusuf. Yes? And Yusuf is also a prophet, yes or no? So now we've got 4 in a row. The score is really high on this side. 4 prophets in a row. And then the Prophet ﷺ made the score even higher. He told us about the children of Israel. كُلَّمَا هَلَكَ نَبِيٌّ خَلَفَ نَبِيٌّ. Every time a prophet would die, another would take his place. There was not a single generation of the entire history of the children of Israel, they did not have a prophet. A prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet. I mean, they got a lot of prophets. What's happening on the other side in the meantime? Nothing. They're on vacation for a long time. Okay, there's a big vacation on this side. Now, because they got so many prophets, and this side got how many prophets? 0. After Ismail alayhi salam, there's no score. This team keeps scoring, this team gets no score for a long time. So they get used to scoring. And they assume that every time they kick the ball, it's going to be a goal. Whoa, that was not me. Who is, hold on, I'll be right back. Why you got to do that, bro? No, they can't hear in the back. They should have come earlier. Anyway, so what was I saying? Something about Islam. I forgot. What was I saying? Remind me. Oh, the score. Very good, the score. So the score is really high on this side. And they get used to the fact that every time a prophet will come, he will come from which side? From the Bani Israel side. Because that's what always happens. You know, when you get something a lot, you stop appreciating it. When you have something a lot, you don't appreciate it anymore. If you eat meat every day, If you eat meat only on Eid, oh my God. I'll tell you something about myself. I'm on a diet. I haven't had chocolate in 30 days. When I look at chocolate, I don't look at it, it looks at me. Okay? If you eat chocolate every day, then you have no appreciation for chocolate, let me tell you. Let me tell you, a Kit Kat is just a Kit Kat to you. It is a piece of Jannah to me right now. I'm still not going to eat it, But I'm telling you, something happens. You start appreciating things more when you don't have them, yes? Now this side keeps getting profits. So guess what happens? They stop appreciating profits. They take it for granted. It's no big deal. So what if we got a profit? And first thing happens, you don't take care of it. The next thing that happens is you ignore them. And then things get really bad. Sometimes they even killed them. وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. How are you people believing in prophets and it gets so bad that sometimes you even kill them? Kill them. And even worse than killing them, there's something even worse than killing them. You know what's worse than killing prophets? Is making lies about prophets. They made lies about prophets. I studied a little bit of the Old Testament and I discussed it with a rabbi friend of mine. It's interesting how the rabbi and I became friends. That's for another time. I know some of you are like, Astaghfirullah al-Azim, I'm leaving right now. I need to make wudu because of what I just heard. But anyway, relax, hold on a second. So this rabbi of mine tells me stories of the prophets from their book or from their edited version of the book. And man, if you only knew about the prophets from their book, you would not want to follow prophets. You would not want to follow prophets. They are not good people in the Bible. They are incredible human beings in the Quran, but they are not good people in the Bible. Read about Nuh alayhi salam in the Bible, you will not want to follow Nuh alayhi salam. Read about the prophets of Banu Israel, you will not want to follow them. They're completely different people. When we say Nuh and they say Noah, we think they're talking about the same person. We're not. They have a completely different version of these people. That is so way different than our own. I'll just give you one example of that. I'll start with the grandfather. The example of the grandfather, I don't remember who that was. You remind me? Oh yeah, Ibrahim alayhi salam. So I asked the rabbi about Ibrahim. I asked the rabbi, what did you learn from Abraham? What is the biggest lesson Jewish people learn from Abraham? You know what he told me? I love this one. He told me we learn that we can question God and we can negotiate with Him. And I said, you mean like Abraham, right? He goes, yeah, of course. Now compare that to Islam. Before we go, say astaghfirullah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Okay, before that, listen. What we learned about Ibrahim alayhi salam is قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Whenever his master said submit, I give up. What did they learn? That he negotiated with Allah. And from him we learn that if God tells us to do something, we can say, let's talk about this. Literally, I'm not making this up. I heard this myself directly. I'm first-hand witness. I don't like to talk about another group of people and their beliefs until they tell me their beliefs themselves. I don't want to read about their beliefs from Muslims. We're Muslim. We like Islam better. Just like we don't want them to read about Islam from Christians or from Jews. So if I want to learn about the Christians, who should I go ask? The Christians. And not just any Christian, I should ask a Christian scholar. If I want to learn about Judaism, I shouldn't learn about that from Ibn Kathir rahimahullah. I should learn about Judaism from the Jewish scholars. Let's go talk to him. I don't mind. I can hang out. I can have a kosher pizza with him. Not right now, I'm on a diet, but eventually. But now, coming back to the point. The story begins with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was responsible for putting a building together. Somewhere. It's a little closer to your neighborhood. Anybody familiar? Ibrahim alayhi salam is responsible for building this building with his older son. Along with his older son, whose name is? Ismail. And they're building this building together. And as they're finishing this building, they both make a dua to Allah together. They make a dua to Allah together. And the dua they make, there's two parts of it. I'll share both of them with you. He said, رَبَّنَا وَاجْعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ. Make both of us Muslim before you. So who's both of us? When this prayer is happening, who's both of us? You tell me. Ibrahim and Ismail, okay? The other side. They said, Ya Allah, make sure we're both Muslim. And from our future generations, there should be at least one Muslim nation. Give us at least how many? Ummatan. Not umaman, ummatan, muslimatan, lak. They asked for how many Muslim nations? One. Okay. Later on, these two again made another dua in the same process. They're building the Kaaba, they're raising the foundations of it, and they make another dua. And their dua is رَبَّنَا وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ. Our Master, raise among that Muslim nation, or among these children of ours, future generations, one messenger. Rasulan, not Rasulan, Rasulan minhum. A messenger among them. How many messengers did they ask for? One. How many messengers came on the other side? Every generation. You remember that? But for the older son, what did Ibrahim alayhi salam ask for? One messenger. This messenger should be so incredible that even if they get all their messengers in every generation, this one scores more and is heavier and is more magnificent than all of them put together. All of them put together. Who do you think that is? That's the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So there's no messenger, no messenger, no messenger, no messenger, no messenger, no messenger. By the way, there were no messengers for so long that the masjid that they built a masjid, didn't they? The masjid that they built became a temple for idols. That's a really long time. I don't imagine anytime soon this masjid will be a temple. You can't imagine. It would have to be a long time, and all the Muslims have died and their children have died and nobody was able to teach the deen anymore, and so much corruption happened that there were idols inside the masjid. Because you have to understand, the Kaaba was always a masjid. That's always been the house of Allah. It's al-masjid, al-haram. So the fact that there are idols in there, you can expect idols inside a Hindu temple. You can expect an idol inside a Buddhist temple. But to expect an idol, or numbers of idols inside where? A masjid. That's shocking. That's shocking. That tells you how long things had gone on, and that one messenger they asked for hasn't come. He hasn't come. Now, who was used to getting messenger after messenger after messenger? Yeah, they got really used to it. Until Allah sent them their last one. The last one Allah sent them, his name is Isa, alayhi salam. Okay, the last one for them was who? Isa. Okay, let's go back. I need to see if you remember, because that's a lot of names now. Who's the grandfather? Okay, then on this side, on the Bani Israel side, who's his son? Ishaq. Ishaq's son is? Yaqub's son is? 12 sons, one of them is who? Yusuf. Somebody said Isa. Wake up! Okay. Now Yusuf alayhi salam, and then after him generation and generation and generation of prophets, and things keep going and going and going and going and going. Eventually the last one for them, who? Isa alayhi salam. And if they were bad to prophets, they were the worst to Isa. They were the worst. They were never worse to anybody else than Isa alayhi salam. Actually, they started insulting him even when he was a baby. At least let him grow up a little before you go after him. You know? They started it from day one. They went after him and they went after his mother. They didn't even spare his mom. And they finally, not only did they insult him and make lies against him, even when he was a baby, eventually they even conspired to what? To kill him. But Allah didn't let them kill him. And Allah removed him from them. When He removed him from them, Allah decided something. Allah decided no more prophets for you. It stopped. The last one was who? Isa. Then almost 600 years go by, no prophets for them. The well has run dry. They were used to getting it every generation, and then it stopped. For almost 6 centuries. So now they are really appreciating, I wish we had a messenger again. Oh, because the books told us there's one more coming, and he's going to be from the family of Ibrahim, and he's going to be from the son of Ibrahim. He's coming, we're waiting for him. And they were waiting for him and waiting for him and waiting for him, and he wasn't coming. And you know what? That time, some of them were living in the Arab world. Some of them were living in Arabia. And sometimes they used to fight with the children of Ismail, the people of Quraysh. They used to have fights, and they used to lose all the time. And when they lost, they used to say, you got us this time, but the final messenger is coming, you watch. When he comes, we're going to get you. He's coming. The score is going to be, oh, ho, ho. And so he came. But the problem was, according to them, he came to the wrong address. He was supposed to come on this side, and he came on, which family? The children of Ismail. And they're like, oh, what? How does that work? We can't have that. So they went back in their books, and they said, wait, Allah told us there's a prophet coming. Where's it? It was there. They had it. They kind of forgot to, because he didn't come for so long, they decided that they won't even talk about the fact that he will come from the older son's lineage. I'll stop the story for a second. I'll tell you something I learned recently. There's an amazing scholar of Islamic history, incredible scholar. A lot of people don't know him. He's an Indian alim. He died in the early 1900s. His name is Hamiduddin Farahi. Hamiduddin Farahi. I'll tell you something about what makes him amazing. This man, this Indian scholar, he traveled to Syria, to Morocco, to Hijaz to study deen. He studied hadith, tafsir, Quran in the 1800s. He traveled back then. There were no flights back then, by the way. Right? And he studied religion for about 50 years of his life. He studied Islam. And then he decided that he wants to understand the Jewish religion. So for 10 years, he studied Hebrew. After being like a master of Arabic language. He's an Indian scholar, he only wrote in Arabic. He only wrote in Arabic. He's such a gangster, I love him. He's like my hero. He's like the Desi scholar that has the most epic Arabic. I love that man. You know, I read some of his books and I'm like, oh, that's good stuff. You know. So he decides to study Hebrew because of one ayah of the Quran. يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ. They know him like they know their own children. Allah said they know him, they know the final prophet, they know Muhammadur Rasulullah ﷺ like they know who? Their own children. So he decides if they know him that well, he must be in their book. But if I need to see their book, I don't trust them too much. I want to read it myself. So if I want to read it myself, what do I have to learn? So he spends 10 years learning Hebrew. And then he writes a book. He writes a book called الرأي الصحيح في من هو الذبيح. The correct opinion about who was to be slaughtered. I need you to understand this background. It's a fun story. I thought you were talking about Ramadan today, Ustad Ramadan. I think you're a little too tired. It's coming. And it's going to come before Ramadan. Relax, okay? So we'll get there. But I need you to understand this first. So it's such an awesome book. It's broken up into 3 parts. Part 1, how the Bible proves that the son that was supposed to be slaughtered, by the way, what am I talking about, the son that was supposed to be slaughtered? Who was supposed to slaughter a son? Ibrahim was supposed to slaughter a son. Why? Why was he supposed to slaughter a son? Because he saw a dream. Now the Jews say that the son he was supposed to slaughter was Ishaq. And the Quran actually indicates very strongly that the son he was supposed to slaughter is who? Ismail. Now you could say, who cares? He didn't get slaughtered anyway, so what's the problem? There's no problem. There is a problem. Let me tell you why. You know what they did? They said that the son to be slaughtered is Ishaq. That's because Ishaq is the special son. And that means that Ismail is the cursed son. And that means that Ismail and all of his children are cursed. And every religion they follow will be the religion of the devil. They wrote this. All of it based on what? That the son to be slaughtered was who? Ishaq. And they made the entire story up in the Torah. And they changed the language of it. And this scholar showed that this is how they changed it. He took his son to a valley where there was just one fountain of water. A valley with just one fountain of water. And then they say the name of the valley was Sakka. Oh, that's an interesting misspelling of what? Makkah. And he took him between the valley of Shifa and Mura. Shifa and Mura. Safa and I wish they had Microsoft Word back then. Maybe we wouldn't have this problem. Bill Gates could have solved this problem a long time ago. For God's sake. And then the funny thing, they say he took him close to the temple of Solomon. Here's a problem. Solomon came many generations later, dude. You messed up your own story. You know, geographically it doesn't even work. So the first part of his book, he showed how the Torah is actually doing their changed version is doing a really bad job of hiding Makkah. Then the book says, the Bible says, slaughter your only son. Slaughter your only son. Now we mentioned two sons. Who are the two sons? Ismail and Ishaq. Quran tells us, Torah also tells us, the older son is Ismail, 14 years older. Ismail is older. Ishaq is what? If you have a younger son, you will never say your only son. You can only say your only son if you only have one son. And you can only say that for which son? For Ismail. Then they said, no. But you know, Ismail was born from a slave girl. So Ibrahim wasn't really married to her. So he doesn't count as a legitimate child. They were willing to call a prophet an illegitimate child just so they can hold on to the idea that Ishaq is the one to be slaughtered. They were willing to change Makkah to what? Sakra. They were willing to change Marwa to Mura. Just so they can hold on to that idea. Why? Because we can't even stand one prophet on that side. We want all of them on this side. And for lots of centuries, nobody came on that side, so there's no problem. We're happy. But all of a sudden, the prophet comes on this side, and they say, wait, we tried to cover this up. We tried to cover this up. How come this came out? And the Quran, clearly talks about how they hid it. They had it, but they hid it on purpose. And they wouldn't tell their people. And by the way, there were a lot of people of the Jewish community at the time in Medina who would hear the Prophet ﷺ speak, and they say, wait, we heard a khutbah about this. He's the one. Then they'd go back to their sheikh. Hey. And he says, I know, but shh. And the Quran talks about those secret meetings too. أتحدثونهم بما فتح الله عليكم ليحاجوكم به عند ربكم أفلا تعقلون. Oh my God! They would go in secret meetings and say, he's the one who gave a khutbah about it last week on Saturday. Because they don't have Friday khutbah, right? And he'd say, yeah, of course, but come on, man. We want to switch sides now? We can't do that. Now let me go back and tell you why this is about Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ was given fasting. Not in Ramadan, before Ramadan. The Prophet was given fasting when? Before Ramadan. And he used to fast on the same days as the Jews. He used to fast when? Same days as the Jews. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Fasting was given to you, was mandated upon you, just like it was for the people who came before you. Who were the people that came before us? Banu Israel. And they had fasting, and the Prophet ﷺ used to fast on exactly the same days. The Prophet ﷺ was given prayer, the daily prayers. But he didn't pray towards the Kaaba. Where did he pray? He used to pray towards Jerusalem. So many of the rituals of Islam that we follow today, before we followed them our way, we used to follow them whose way? The other side. We have no problem with that, because those are also prophets. Because their grandfather is also who? Ibrahim. And this is still the religion of Ibrahim. So we have no problem. Until the Quran will tell us to do something else, we will do what the other prophets did. There's no problem on this side. So we used to pray in the same direction as them, and we used to fast on the same days as them. And this was our way, this was Allah's way of telling them, this is not something different. Come on. What's wrong with you? Just because it's on the other side, he's still your cousin. He's still from the same father. Who's the father? Or the grandfather? Ibrahim, same family. What's your problem? If you love your family so much, you should love your grandfather. That's where it all started anyway. And why do you have, and then what does Allah do? This is Surah Al-Baqarah. The ayat of fasting are where? Surah Al-Baqarah. The first part of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah talked about the other family, Bani Israel, yes? And He said, you messed up so many times. So many times. Over and over again, you kept messing up. You even killed prophets. Why do you think I should send you another prophet so you can kill him again? Basically, you don't deserve it. And you say that we are a special family. And Allah tells them, you are not a special family. The only reason you're a special family is because you're grandchildren of who? Ibrahim. So in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah finishes talking about the Jews, about the children of Israel, He starts telling us about Ibrahim. Why? Because He's reminding them the only thing that makes you special is who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. And if you love Ibrahim alayhi salam, you should love his children. And his older son was who? Ismail. So He introduces Bani Israel to Ismail. وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَعِيل. He introduces them to Ismail. Okay. What dua did they make? Make us Muslim. At least one nation among us should be what? Muslim. And send us how many messengers? One messenger. Okay, now let me tell you how amazing this is. To me, this is the most mind-blowing thing about Ramadan. I love this about Ramadan. You know the name of Islam. Islam has many names. Dinul Haqq, the religion of truth. One of its names is Millata Abikum Ibrahim, the religion of your father Ibrahim. Please remember that. What is a name of Islam is what? The religion of your father Ibrahim. How many pillars in Islam? That's a genius question. I even put my hand out. I didn't have that much confidence. 73. No. 5. 4 out of 5 are directly related to Ibrahim. 5 pillars in Islam, and at least 4 of them are directly related to who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was born in a family and in a town everybody worshipped idols, and he's the only one who stands up and says, La ilaha illallah. He's the only one who believes in one God. And then he builds the house that will make sure that people until the day of judgment will say, La ilaha illallah. In other words, the shahada is a legacy of who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Everybody understand the shahada? What's next? Salah. How's salah related to Ibrahim alayhi salam? Rabbi ja'alni muqima as-salah. His dua was, Ya Allah, make me someone who establishes salah. And out of my children. When he was building the Kaaba, he made that dua. By the way, there's something else. Ibrahim, my teacher, Dr. Akram Nadwi, what an amazing guy. Man, I was hanging out with him in England and I asked him, Dr. Akram, what is your favorite ayah in the Quran? What is your favorite ayah in the Quran? And he said the strangest answer. He said, La uhibbul afilin. I said, this is your favorite ayah? La uhibbul afilin means I don't like those that settle. Ibrahim alayhi salam saw the sun and it settled. He saw the moon and it settled. He saw the stars and they disappeared in the daytime. And he said, La uhibbul afilin. I don't love the things that settle, the things that disappear. None of these things are constant. He said, that's my favorite ayah. I said, why is that your favorite ayah? And he says to me, because this is the ayah that teaches us the real meaning of salah. I said, what? You know, we believe in the unseen, yes? Stay with me. This is going to be fun. We believe in the unseen. But when we see the world that is seen around us, what is the biggest creation you see? There's no bigger creation than that creation that your eyes can see. What is that? The sun. The sun is the most magnificent creation of Allah for our eyes. There's nothing greater than that. And you guys have a lot of sun. MashaAllah. You know, that's one thing you don't forget here. And of course, the sun, and in the night, what's the most magnificent creation? The moon. And beyond the moon, what is the beauty of the stars? What if not the beauty of the stars, yes? You know, people used to worship the sun. People used to worship the moon. People used to worship the stars. I'll tell you something so cool. It's totally not related to this lecture. It's a complete tangent, but I have to tell you because it's that cool. In about 5 years ago, they did an excavation of the city of Ur, U-R. The city is spelled U-R, ancient Babylonia, some parts of Iraq, outskirts of Iraq near Turkey somewhere. And they found a city buried about 50 feet under the ground, an ancient city. And their Bible scholars actually now agree, Jewish study scholars agree, that was the village of Abraham, Babylonia. And they found in that village thousands of idols. Thousands, small, big, action figure size, regular size, 2-liter bottle size, and then mega size, and then you have the super mega size, etc. All size of idols. Every household, different idols. The Bible says they worshipped many idols. The Bible says what? They worshipped many idols. The Bible never says he saw the sun, he saw the moon, he saw the star. The Bible doesn't say that. By the way, كوكب, فلما رأى كوكبا, كوكب in Arabic is actually Jupiter. So the Quran mentions that Ibrahim alayhi salam pointed to the sun, he pointed to the moon, and he pointed to Jupiter. Okay? Now, when they dug these idols, how many idols did they find? What did I say? Thousands. Thousands. But they only found 3 idols that were bigger than everybody else. There were 3 guys, 3 giant men, idols. One guy, his head was shaped like Starbucks, like the sun. One guy, his head was a crescent moon. And one guy was a planet with rings around it, which is what? Jupiter. So they now think that the 3 main gods of that society were the sun god and the moon god and Jupiter. The Bible never said anything about this. What did? Quran did. The Quran, Ibrahim alayhi salam, instead of attacking all the idols, when he demonstrated the sun, the moon, and Jupiter, he went after the biggest ones. Subhanallah. Anyway, that was the cool thing I wanted to share with you on the side. Coming back to the point. Ibrahim alayhi salam builds this Kaaba. And the idols are all gone. The idols are now, they have been destroyed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, how is he related? How is Salah related? Because every time the sun goes down, it shows you that the sun is not all powerful, yes? And the sun goes down and it reminds you that it's not permanent. The only one that is permanent is who? Allah. The moon goes down, it's not there forever. And it reminds you even the greatest creation is not forever. The only one forever is Allah. Every time the sun moves its position, it's time for another salah, isn't it? Every time. We remind ourselves, La uhibbul afilin. We remind ourselves of the journey of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Our daily prayers revolve around the weakness of the sun. Yes or no? And when the sun is at its weakest, it's at Maghrib. It's about to die. And that's when our prayers start getting even louder. Maghrib is a loud prayer or a quiet prayer? And then when the sun is completely down, our prayers get longer and louder. Isha. And the sun's weakness is nowhere to be found when? At Fajr, and we're still the loudest when it's the weakest. SubhanAllah. It's actually a legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Muqim as-salati. So, Shahada goes back to Ibrahim and prayer goes back to Ibrahim. But there are a couple more pillars. Well, we'll deal with fasting last because that's our program. Hajj. Hajj doesn't go back to Ibrahim, does it? Alayhi salam? Oh, wait a second. How is Hajj related to Ibrahim alayhi salam? The Kaaba, so the Kaaba, and there is kind of وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. There's Maqam Ibrahim. Then there's Safa and Marwa. That has nothing to do with Ibrahim, does it? Oh wait, it does. Oh yeah, it's all in the family. Jamarat has to do with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay, at least the slaughter of the animal has nothing to do with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Oh wait. Oh. Everything you do at Hajj goes back to who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Shahada goes back to Ibrahim. Salah goes back to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Hajj goes back to Ibrahim alayhi salam. What's left? No, before Zakah. I said 4 out of 5. I said 4 out of 5. 5 inshallah another day. That's a long lecture. 4. What's 4? Ramadan. Fasting in the month of Ramadan. What was the dua that Ibrahim alayhi salam made for how many prophets? Who was with him when he made that dua? And the dua was, send a messenger among them who will recite your ayat to them. Yatlu alayhim ayatik. Yes? Okay. And the dua was fulfilled when the Prophet blank came. When the Prophet Muhammad came. Reciting what? Quran came in which month? Ramadan. And Allah decided that that month is so important because that is the month in which the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam was answered. So the entire month should be celebrated with fasting. We are actually celebrating the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam being fulfilled. That's what you call the religion of Abraham. Millata abikum Ibrahim. Do you understand how fasting is related to Ibrahim alayhi salam? Because the Quran coming, which means the Prophet coming and reciting the Quran, happened because of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. It's incredible.